Relieving pressure on the Russian army could allow Moscow to start new battles in Europe, Business Insider reports, citing current and former ministers and retired officers. It is noted that Europe is seriously concerned about possible Russian aggression outside of Ukraine. Defence expert and former commander of the UK's Chemical, Biological, Radiological and Nuclear Forces, Hamish de Bretton-Gordon, has warned that the Russian war machine is currently in overdrive. He said a ceasefire in Ukraine without security guarantees would allow Russia to continue producing more tanks and aircraft and take steps to improve its military. The former commander of the US Army in Europe, retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, said that refusing to provide aid to Ukraine without security guarantees risks giving Russian leader Vladimir Putin a reprieve to rebuild his forces and attack again. He also recalled that Russia has several frozen conflicts in Europe, including the so-called Transnistria. Putin could return to these places if his army is freed from fighting in Ukraine. Let us recall that recently, French President Emmanuel Macron stated that Putin will definitely go to Moldova and possibly further to Romania if he is not stopped. He warned that Russia posed a serious existential threat to Europe. Our security is at stake. We have an overarmed and aggressive Russia on our borders. According to him, if Washington agreed to sign a ceasefire without any security guarantees for Ukraine, then the US ability to exert geostrategic deterrence against Russia, China and others would disappear that same day. Donald Trump's ambitions are the opposite of this, the French president is sure. He is convinced that the United States has no choice but to resume dialogue with Ukraine. The obvious destiny of the Americans is to be on the side of the Ukrainians. I have no doubt about this. What the United States has done over the past 3 years is entirely consistent with its diplomatic and military traditions. I want to make it clear to the Americans that disengagement from Ukraine is not in their interests, he said. Macron also emphasized that everyone agrees to make peace, but there can be no just and lasting peace if Ukraine is abandoned to its fate.
Signs of democratic protests were evident in the House of Representatives from the start of U.S. President Donald Trump's State of the Union address, with women of the party wearing pink in protest, and Democrats also wearing blue and yellow clothing to symbolize solidarity with Ukraine. Some Democrats left the chamber in protest. At the start of Trump's speech, Democratic Congressman Al Green was escorted out of the chamber. Green stood up during Trump's speech, raised his cane in the air and began shouting. House Speaker Mike Johnson asked for order, but Green refused to sit down. He was eventually removed from the chamber. Democrats have been disrupting the Republican speech by chanting slogans and waving signs saying, "Save Medicaid," and "Musk is a thief." They also held up signs saying, "False," in response to some of Trump's claims. The president, after his speech was interrupted, said he couldn't make Democrats happy. "This is my 5th speech to Congress, and once again I look at the Democrats and realize that there is absolutely nothing I can say that will make them happy or make them stand up, smile or applaud," the U.S. president noted. As Trump spoke, some Democrats held signs and posters with messages, and Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib brought a small board into the room to respond to Trump's comments in real time. Many women in the party wore pink as a protest color, while others wore blue and yellow scarves and other clothing to symbolize solidarity with Ukraine.
And 1 counties in our country, 2,700 to 525 on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you. This is my fifth such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad. And it just shouldn't be this way. So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America?